everybody. Look, it's a Cinema Night podcast. We're alive and well. I haven't done the show in a month, apparently. My name is Michael Govier, for those who remember me. If you've never met me before, and I've never met you, it's good to know you. Thanks for being here. It's just me and Travis Roy today. There is no Eric Brandstrom. He's going to a very special tribute show tonight. We wish him well, and we hope he has a great time. How can we just... We've been a real mess lately. I really don't have any good excuses, I take full responsibility for all the mistakes I've made here, and I do still love the show. I'm really excited to do today's show, so it's good to be here, Travis.
At this point, I think we could just do away with the mea culpas, because if you're a regular listener, you've figured out that we're just not staying on the same schedule that we consistently did for 3 fucking years straight, gangbusters every single week. But as of late, it's just been harder to make that happen. So we're just doing it as best we can. We're doing what we can out here. But me and Mike, well, I will be here every week. It's obviously. I mean, I've only missed 2 or 3 episodes the whole time I've been on the fucking show.
Yeah, I think, okay, so I know Eric's had a lot going on lately, so it's understood.
Yes. It's all understood. And what you got going on is understood. People have lives, shit happens. What are you going to do?
No, but, the one time he crapped out, he said he was a little overwhelmed emotionally, so I just, I don't want to do the show with just 2 people. Sometimes we do get into that where I'm I wanted to have 3 of us, but... So I take blame on that one. And then I was on vacation last week, and we didn't end up doing the show, and I'm fine with that because I didn't do any pods, really, so... that's how it goes. But I really hope, I think we found a routine until we found out today that Eric couldn't do the show today. So I thought we were about to turn a corner here. We're going to try to do the show every Thursday night, and Travis is willing to stay up past his bedtime and everything. So I think, just bear with us, hang with us, email us if you're pissed. Tell us what upsets you. Are you disappointed? If nobody cares, then we'll just do whatever we want, really.
I mean, have you checked the email in some time? I have not. Maybe they've been emailing us pissed all along. I haven't checked it in fucking months. Yeah. I'm terrible at that.
Let's see. Your struggles are over, Vincenza. There's nobody here named Vincenza, so that's not for us. Customizing mobile apps. Yeah. Okay. Customizing mobile apps. No thanks. Pete from Jam. Be one of 100 podcasters to test out our new features. Nope.
Well, thanks, Pete. Sounds hopeful.
Thanks, Pete. Really, you go too far, Pete. Lauren says early access for Vincenza again. There's 2 emails about Vincenza.
Some Vincenza is pissed somewhere that he's not getting the emails that he requires.
Clearly. The Google accounts team wants to update, how they can exploit us. So that's fine. Thank you. But the final email is actually a real email, Travis. How about that?
That's exciting. I'm glad we thought to check it.
Yeah. Well, I always send the link for our show. For those people who don't know, we have to send a link out for us to use. And so I do it from our email just so I can see if we did get emails when we do the show anyways.
Oh.
This one is from our old pal, former guest host, Brian Madison.
Oh, hey, Brian.
Hey, buddy. The title is Do We Get to Win This Time? Podcast on the Big Picture. Hello, Cinema 9 gang. I've just ripped through the Big Picture on hiatus podcast miniseries. Do we get to win this time on The Ringer? And it's riveting. I highly recommend you guys check it out. Bob Rafferty posits that the Vietnam War and America's perspective on it was shaped, for better or worse, by the films made about it. It's a deep dive into the war film culture of an unpopular war, and I couldn't stop listening to it. Starting with the ridiculous The Green Berets in 1968. John, I remember that. Great song.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. No, the movie.
Oh, I never saw the movie. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Wow. John Wayne is a Green Beret. He's just he's a cowboy, but he's in the sky and he's jumping out of planes and stuff. It's not good.
John Wayne is so overrated, man.
He had his moments, but yeah, that's not one of them.
Yeah, okay. Well, generally, yeah, that's fair. You were a little more subdued there. I appreciate that. Little thought process there. And then the email continues, Green Berets in 1968, and John Wayne's checkered history, there you go, with being an admitted racist and a pro-war propagandist. The 8-episode series covers every major Vietnam War film and the impact, big or little, it had on American culture. Great interviews with veterans, both behind the camera and in front of it. Major shout out to the great Dale Dye. Oh, I know Dale Dye. I've heard that name before.
I've not.
I've heard that name before. I don't know why, but I have heard it. The former Marine who has been in almost every single major war film since Platoon. Okay, well, there you go. That's
this is the dude that Gary Busey was based on in Tropic Thunder, I think.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
I think that's correct. as well as some of the filmmakers like, Travis's favorite, Oliver Stone. This is a must-listen for anybody into film.
Nick Nolte. Excuse me. Sorry, Nick Nolte. My bad.
Oh,
Not
shit.
Gary Busey. Failure. Brain failure, but I retrieved. Continue.
But oddly enough, without thinking about it, they're similar without thinking that I still let it go.
It did seem right when I said it.
Yeah, that's how there's still a connection between those two guys for some reason. This is a must listen for anybody into film and the real world impact that movies can have. Okay, well, thanks, Ryan. Again, it's called Do We Get to Win This Time podcast, which is on the Big Picture podcast, which you can find anywhere. Brian was really into it, and
all right.
That's an interesting concept. Yeah, how the films about the Vietnam War shaped the war.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big believer that the Woodstock documentary had a tremendous impact on that generation of people who act like they were there, whether they were there or not. So it kind of makes sense, and that we're doing it too as a generation. We're being shaped by film as far as history and stuff goes. I think that's incredibly important, and it sounds like a really interesting podcast. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, that's why it's one of the reasons we do the show is because film can have a tremendous impact. Sometimes we're just fucking around. That's fine. We fuck around a lot, but
it's fun. It's fun to fuck around.
Also, I never want that to end, but we also have a serious side to ourselves, and we get into that on the show when it's called for. And there's a reason, because film is, again, an outlet and an arm sometimes for straight up propaganda. It can happen.
Yeah, for sure. And sometimes it's really good, which is even weirder. Like good propaganda movies. That happens.
Yeah, that's true.
Mr. Smith goes to Washington, you know?
Mr. Smith. Is that old Jimmy?
Old Jimmy and Capra hanging out, a reteam. Actually, it may have been, even before It's a Wonderful Life. Anywho.
I think it was. I think Mr. Smith was like 41-ish.
Yeah, I think that was before the war.
Yeah, 39 maybe, off the top of my head. Anyways, we're just doing shit off the top of our heads, but you guys could Google everything, so we can do that too, but we choose sometimes. Yeah. We still try to use our minds. If we get it wrong, we're using our minds. We're trying, and I think it's okay to fail.
Yeah, if I'm wrong, I will just realize it 2 days later while brushing my teeth and beat myself up for it for 2 or 3 weeks.
That's the American way.
Yes, sir.
Hell yes.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dave Horning. Dave Horning loves this show more than anybody we've ever known. He really loves Cinema 9 so much.
We love him.
Yeah, love Dave, but I just want to give him credit because he's so into our show, which, it's a nice, not that anyone's not into our show. It's just Dave's really he emails, he'll text us about ideas. He really is a passionate Cinema 9 lover.
Cinema Niner.
Cinema Niner. Oh, cool. Okay. Well, it's been a while. So it's time for us to do some quarantine viewing picks. I'm very excited. I got a whole laundry list because I've been off for a month, so I'll fine tune that list. But what's been going on with you lately?
I was thinking the same, that I was going to have to chop this thing down because it's been a couple weeks, and I actually watched a lot the last couple weeks. But without Eric here, I feel like we can fill that time a little bit, dig in. Yeah. I finished my revisit on The Sopranos, which remains the greatest show ever. And you're shaking your head.
You man. Fuck Paulie. I fucking hate that guy.
Oh, well, yeah, Paulie is a pretty heartless dude, but they all are terrible humans for the most part. But every time I rewatch that show, I get something different out of it. I've watched it so many times. And my big takeaway this time is that we have been very cruel, or at least we all were kind of collectively cruel to Robert Eiler as he was growing up. Some of that dialogue was pretty terrible, that he had to call him fucking Uncle Junior a mummy and stuff. But AJ, I think, I had a lot more appreciation for his arc this viewing, because you really see what would happen if Tony Soprano raises someone with all of his sensibilities but none of his ruthlessness, and he's just like a whiny, screeching fucking child. And it really distills down who Tony Soprano really is when you get down to it. He's a little fucking baby, but he's brutal. You take that away, and yeah, so it's such a great show. I could go on and on.
Okay, you're right. That's a really good point. It's not his fault. I don't think the dialogue was really.
He's a mummy. He's a mummy. There's some bad stuff in there, but
yeah, but I think they gave him bad dialogue because he's an idiot kid. So I think that's well done. But yes, I've never thought about it like that before. I have to give you credit that if you take away the brutality, this is the just raw nerve baby that is the existence of Tony Soprano. That's a really good call. There's actually a podcast now that Eiler does with Meadow.
Yeah, I've been meaning to listen to that. The, Pajama Buddies or something. I forget what Pajama Bottoms or something like that. Something about pajamas.
Yeah, it's something like that, and they talk about Soprano stuff, and also Robert Eiler talks. I guess he's had a lot of drug use stuff. I don't know if it's like serious addict stuff or just like to party.
Yeah,
but,
it was no like a lot of kid actors. He really had a hard time once he hit adulthood and all that kind of stuff. But got really into gambling and drugs. But I think he's okay now. I hope.
So unbearable, man. I can't stand that character, but you're right. I can't disagree with your point. It's good, well thought out.
And that's kind of why I dwelled on it this time, because I've always kind of hated the character too. But this time I just kind of approached it more like, what is the real legacy that Tony's leaving? And then, he's trying to raise a daughter who's going to be a doctor, but no, she's going to be a criminal lawyer and be a criminal herself. It's fucking great. Other stuff that I watched, I had to get Criterion Channel to watch AI. So I've kind of held on to Criterion for the month. Checked out Gimme Shelter.
You up with that. You should have talked to me. My bad.
Well,
sorry.
I didn't know. Yeah. But I checked out Gimme Shelter from 1970. I've never seen, I've seen images of the Rolling Stones Altamont concert. Particularly the actual murder moment, or like it's a murder. I mean, the dude had a gun, but anyways, watching the rest of it in context, I thought that Woodstock documentary showed what a farce that was. Altamont was it was a ball of shit. It was a big old clusterfuck. It's amazing that more people didn't die. Although 4 people did die that day, and 4 people were born at that concert, which is fucking wild.
That's a wash. Okay, great.
Yeah, I'm sure that's how the Stones feel. I also checked out on Criterion Paths of Glory, starring Kirk Douglas. This is one of the earlier Kubrick films. It is a World War I movie from 1957. And there's a really harrowing No Man's Land scene where you're like tracking alongside Kirk Douglas as he's like trying to progress across No Man's Land, and it is some of the it's pretty awesome. There's some really it's almost like it's anti-war propaganda in a lot of ways. Sometimes it's really heavy-handed, which I'm anti-war myself. I'm not saying propaganda in a bad way in this sense.
I love war. War is fantastic.
Right. I love it. I love it so much. But it's obviously it's Kubrick, so it's pretty good. Also on that same channel, I checked out The Comfort of Strangers. I haven't talked Paul Schrader on this show in a minute. 1990s Paul Schrader with, we got Christopher Walken playing an Italian and a really young Helen Mirren. They're like the creepy couple that meets Jolie Richardson and Rupert Everett, a really young Rupert Everett. Like I think this is maybe the earliest thing I've seen him in. A little slow, but man, is it beautiful. Schrader, I mean, I think he does best when he writes his stuff and directs it, but this was pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Checked out Living from 2022, what Bill Nighy was nominated for Best Actor for. A little slow, but if you like Bill Nighy, definitely, obviously worth checking out.
I do like Bill, but not Bill Nye the Science Guy. Bill Nye. Bill
Nighy, the accomplished actor. I like Bill Nye the Science Guy too, but maybe that's why he throws the science guy in, so he doesn't get confused with the man who for like 20 years I called Bill Nighy. Well, it's actually
I did too. Yeah, I couldn't figure it out, man. I could not solve that puzzle.
I couldn't either. Speaking of Netflix, we got the new Adam Sandler movie. I think he's in maybe 6 scenes. It's really starring his daughter. You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah, which it's geared toward middle schoolers, but it wasn't terrible. It was okay.
Yeah, we need more. There's not a lot of bar bat mitzvah movies. I realized that when I heard about this recently. I'm like, wow, this is like a genre that could be explored further.
Yeah, there was Shiva Baby last year or 2 years ago, which I haven't actually seen, but it's not you're right. It's not like a normal. Also, shit, what was that one that was on Apple that was so good? I'm blanking on it right now. Anyways.
Diarrhea Jones? Great Adventures?
You nailed it. Thank you. The Flash. I watched The Flash. It's on Max finally.
Oh, it's on Max?
Of course, it isn't nearly as bad as everyone said it was, but it also wasn't great. Some of the CGI choices in particular were incredibly puzzling. Just like a rubber-faced Ron Livingston, only like duplicated 1,000 times, was not something anyone needed to see, let alone in numerous scenes. It definitely was worth watching, but it wasn't the greatest superhero movie of all time, as James Gunn claimed. And then lastly, I watched a couple horror movies. I could skip on past that. So I guess my main suggestion of the week would have to be Sopranos. Yeah, it is the best thing ever.
Fuck Paulie, man. I cannot stand watching him. It's a great acting performance by what's his face, but God,
Tony Sirico.
Yeah, I can't stand that character. I
He's such a
actually
scumbag.
need to decide who I can't stand more. Is it Paulie or is it AJ? It actually might be Paulie because when I do the rewatch, my last rewatch was about a year and a half ago, and he is just so constantly obstinate. Like he just will not give it. He'll never give it an inch, and he'll push it so far that it'll be detrimental to himself and the entire crew. I mean, he starts some real serious shit for that crew that doesn't need to be started because it's all petty bullshit. And I know they're all fucked up people. I get that. But I'm just like, dude, you are the worst. You just, he really bums me out. He does.
You know who also had a big takeaway on this time? I'm a big fan of Silvio Dante, the character. And this time I was really focused on like what a misogynist he is and like how brutal he is. You know, it's him that like murders women and kind of that kind of stuff. And I've always kind of like obviously had a major problem with that. But also I noticed this time, like there's a couple moments where like he saves or at least sort of saves women. Like when he's like shot at someone in New York is shot right next to him at the dinner table and he like has to get up. Like he gets the women out ahead of him and that kind of stuff. He does that kind of stuff periodically throughout the show. He's such a weird character because especially his relationship with women. But that's what I love about the show. You can just, every time it's like a fucking onion, just peel something else off.
Nothing like peeling an onion on a Friday night.
Yep, with your feet.
Great.
Peeling onion with your feet.
Onion foot. Yeah, I love onion foot. All right. So, boy, how do I decipher this list that I have written down in detail?
All right.
I've been keeping track. Yeah, I love, I got a whole, in my iPhone, in the Notes app, I've got a whole section that's called movies, and it's got endless categories of stuff that I've written about basically around this show since 2020. So, like,
same.
Cool. Maybe we should just do a whole show about the notes in our movie files. That could be fun. Let's see. So, let me just, I'll mix them in with the show. It'll make more sense to do this. So, what's it called? Quarantine View Fix? There it is. Okay. Way back when.
A month ago.
God, I don't even remember that movie. I don't even know what that is. I'm going to skip that because I can't even remember what it is.
What's it called?
Muscles and Mayhem?
Is that a documentary? A documentary, probably.
Oh, wait. I got it. Okay, yeah, because this was like literally a month ago. That was the American Gladiator documentary on Netflix. Now there's two American Gladiator documentaries, one on ESPN and one on Netflix. I watched the Netflix one. It's called Muscles and Mayhem. I know Eric, if he was here, we could talk about that more. I enjoyed it. It was entertaining. It's worth watching. So, and so I finally watched Bros, which was totally shit on last year. It was a bomb.
I loved it. No?
Me and Leanne watched it on vacation, and I didn't loathe it, and I didn't love it. I was just kind of middling on this, and I can't be sure the impact of the overall view that a lot of people panned it. But I actually was willing to root for the movie a lot more because it was panned and because it was about homosexuals in love, and I wanted to make that. I wanted it to work. I wanted to like love the movie. I really did. But I kind of think Billy Eichner's not very likable on screen.
So that's the main problem that people have. See, I like Billy Eichner, but if you find him grating, which I totally understand, then you're gonna have a harder time with the show.
Is that really what a lot of people end up bitching about more than anything?
Oh yeah. I don't know I don't know that he's necessarily the leading man that you want. I think he wrote a good movie. I do.
I mean, it's a weird movie because, I mean, minor spoiler stuff here. If you don't want to hear it, skip ahead 30 seconds. He has these very sentimental, serious moments about, LGBTQ plus culture. And, the whole point, that museum they're building, and it gets into some really hardcore heavy shit. It's like everybody knows Stonewall. There's way more than Stonewall. And that's good stuff. But at the same time, it's like really funny and sarcastic, and it's trying to balance between the two. And it was a little weird, the messaging and the overall balance of the film, I suppose.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, that's how I saw it. And it's not terrible. It was decent. I'd like to see Billy Eichner do one more thing, and then I'd like to see if I like it or not. So,
hope he gets a chance.
I do too. I watched a great documentary called Quarterback. You would never watch this, but it's it's about NFL quarterbacks from last year. But it's unprecedented access ever. So if you want to see unprecedented access behind the scenes, check it out. I finally saw The Devil's Own. I'd never seen The Devil's Own.
It's not good.
Yeah, and I realized, boy, this movie, man, I'm on a roll here with movies that were panned and shit on. But this movie was really shit on. I guess Brad Pitt was really pissed about this movie by the time it was done.
They were making it up as they went along, literally. Like the script was like thrown out. They were fucking just shooting shit and like, let's piece it together in editing. They didn't know what the fuck they were doing.
Yeah, I guess the original script Brad Pitt loved, but by the time I got to the movie, that script was long gone, and that'll happen. Anyways, it's not a very good movie, but it tries to hit on some points that make sense, but it's fairly terrible. I will say that. I saw that movie Worth, which I've skipped over so many times, and I finally watched it. Michael Keaton about what is a life worth from 9/11, and it's based on the real life lawyer who did the mediation for all the victims of 9/11. And that movie, I mean, it's a slog. Like, you're not going to have fun watching this movie, I'll tell you that, but it's really well done. Michael Keaton is like a really chill, balanced, kind of like very practical man type role. But I thought it was solid. I thought it was a really solid film. It's emotional. It's very emotional. I will say that. So if you're not for that, then don't watch it. I watched a movie called Marshall, and do I even know what that is?
Not We Are Marshall, just Marshall?
It says, no, it's not We Are Marshall. I know that movie. This Marshall. What is Marshall? This is
I don't know, man. Skip to the next one.
I can't remember these. This is hilarious. I can't remember these movies. This is so funny.
That's why you wrote them down.
What? I know I wrote them down, and it's still not ringing a bell. I have a pretty good memory. This is weird.
Marshall or Martial?
Yeah, just straight up Marshall. Yeah.
Like the name. Like your former stepfather.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay. Yes. It was the third good Marshall movie with Chadwick Boseman.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
I haven't actually seen that. How was it?
Yeah, I hadn't seen. Yeah, I'm so glad that we did it because I want to talk about it. Yeah. It's a rock solid movie. It's not a full on biography. It's like a slice of life from his life at a serious case that's not Brown versus Board. So I loved it. It's him and Josh Gad of all people, and it works pretty well. With Sterling K. Brown in a supporting role, I'll give it a thumbs up. It's definitely worth seeing.
I think that's the only Boseman movie I still haven't seen. I really need to get on that. Oh, actually, I haven't seen Jackie either, or the 42, whatever it's called.
Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah,
I don't know why I haven't. Gotta get on that.
Marshall's definitely worth checking out. A movie I ran into totally on the blue is called Greenland, and I would never watch it. It was with Gerard Butler and the most gorgeous woman on earth.
Kind of entertaining. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Was it not entertaining?
I was entertained. I watched the whole thing, and I didn't have to. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I mean, I feel like that's more your... Yeah, you would call it an action movie because it's like kind of like an end of the world movie too. Yeah, it's kind of like an updated Deep Impact Day After Tomorrow kind of thing. Yeah, gosh, she's so beautiful, Marina, whatever her face is. I can't even remember her last name.
Yeah, she's gorgeous. Marina from Deadpool, right?
Yes, that woman.
Yes, she is gorgeous.
She's a gorgeous woman. That's nothing wrong with that. And Gerard Butler, I'm not a fan of, but he actually wasn't terrible. And then you got some Scott Glenn just shows up, so it's not terrible. Yeah,
always happy to see some Scott Glenn.
There's a movie called Deadfall from 2012, starring. Remember Eric Bana? What happened to Eric Bana? Where'd he go?
I don't know. He did the Hulk movie and then vanished.
I know, and that was a long time ago.
I'm surprised he hasn't resurfaced like in a bunch of like made for video Christian films or something.
That's funny. This movie's from 2012, Deadfall, and it's got a great cast. You got him, you got Charlie Hunnam, and Olivia Wilde. It's a very loaded cast with a lot of great. Even Sissy Spacek and old man Chris Christopherson are in this. So who just recently passed away, Treat Williams. He's in it. So.
I love him.
It's also a movie I really want you and Eric to watch, and everybody who's a local to Michigander to watch, because it's based in Michigan, but like in the country of Michigan. It's a Michigan movie. It's based around Michigan. That's not Detroit. It is, yeah. I gotta be honest, that part alone was enough for me to see it through, and I think it's worth watching. Deadfall, it's worth watching.
All right.
And I think we will leave. Okay. So one of the mistakes. I know Eric is probably going to bring this to the table, or maybe he won't because he loves it. But The Color of Money, it's one of his favorite
movie. Yeah,
his favorite movie.
That's what he says.
Well, I didn't know. I'd seen it before. It was my first time. Yeah, I didn't know that. I finally figured that out for the first time after I'd only seen the movie once or twice, and I didn't remember that it was Scorsese because basically it was just a Paul Newman movie. It wasn't really Scorsese was just there to prove that he could do like a studio picture. That's what I found out afterwards. and that it was a sequel to The Hustler, which I've never seen with Jackie Gleason. And so I really want to see The Hustler, and that's like the number one movie on my agenda to see next.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. There you go.
Look at that. We did like a lengthy quarantine viewing picks. Look at us.
It was fun. Yeah, if you don't like it, hey, fuck off.
There are those that do. You're dead. Tim likes it.
Yeah, but Tim Govey's going to listen to this. He's going to love it. I'm in his basement right now. Right, Dad?
Hey, Tim.
I don't know if he's upstairs if he can hear me. All right, well, there it is, cinema9@gmail.com. You can give us a 5-star review, although maybe we don't deserve it lately. But the shows we actually do are still pretty solid, I think. So, do kids. All right, well, it's time to focus on my pick, To Die For. That's right. I chose this movie, and I got to tell you, this is the most proud I think I've been, Travis.
As far as your choices goes?
Yes.
All right.
And the reason why, because I really have not seen this movie since like 1997, truly.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of these other movies I've kind of run into again and again over the years for the most part. But this is a great example of what the show is about. We pick a movie that we haven't seen in a long time. Does it hold up? I loved it once upon a time, and I did love this movie once upon a time. I really loved To Die For. So
I agree. I think this was a great choice. I remember getting into this movie. As I mentioned, my mom's boyfriend growing up would like record all kinds of VHSs for us, but then they broke up, and so I kind of like had to start doing it myself because it's not that hard. It's by the time I was 15. So I remember I had like To Die For and huge, I remember I wrote it in white out across the black VHS, and I had this one, and I watched it over and over and over. So much so, in fact, that like a couple years later, when there was a sneak preview, like 2 months before the actual release of another movie that came out, and was like, oh, it's the next Gus Van Zant movie, and it's got Robin Williams in some sort of drama. Yeah, sure, I'll check it out. So I saw it like months before Good Will Hunting actually came out, because I was like that young. I was like, yeah, fucking Gus Van Zant. And like you, by the end of 2000 or so, I had not watched or really even thought about this movie in a long time. But there was a good 4 or 5 years where I watched it regularly.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I didn't even think about it. You're right. It's just like erased from my memory. And first off, like you said, it's a Gus Van Sant film. He's a very famous director. It's got Nicole Kidman. It's got Matt Dillon, Dan Hedaya, our pal Kurtwood Smith. Yeah. Leanne hates this too. Joaquin. She's like,
Joaquin.
I know.
Joaquin.
She kept doing it to me all week. I know. I told her about I've been doing it on the show, and I didn't
Joaquin.
really do it.
It's what.
Yeah, Joaquin. But Casey Affleck, his first movie. Ileana Douglas. I mean, it's a loaded cast, a lot of great people.
Yeah.
And
stacked
it's
cast.
a Gus Van Sant. Yeah, it's a stacked cast. And it's based on the Pamela Smart story, which is a true story. It did happen. So for those of you that don't remember, Pamela Smart hired, what happens in this movie, she basically did. She didn't want to be a TV newswoman, I don't think, or something like that.
But she was an extremely minor local celebrity that got young children to murder her husband for her. And then it was one of the first court cases that allowed video cameras inside the courtroom. So media was like this movie starts with the media literally falling all over themselves. Reporters are literally falling all over themselves to like chase her to the funeral. And that's pretty much what happened in reality. I don't really remember it at the time. It was like, 90 or 91. I don't remember it happening. But it clearly presaged a lot of bullshit that we're still wading through today.
Yeah, I mixed that case up with the one where that girl got kidnapped in Utah like a few years later.
Oh, I think the last name was Smart. Her last name was Smart, too.
I know.
Elizabeth
right?
Smart.
Yeah, right. Isn't that what I swear they're both smarts.
A couple of smarties.
A couple of smarties. Well, so the first time you watched this movie, you recall doing it that way, as you described?
Yeah. Like I rented it because it had. I mean, I guess I don't even. Yeah, I guess it looked cool. I don't even know if I knew who Gus Van Sant was at that point. I knew who Matt Dillon would have been. I remember this. Like, it wasn't actually the first time I saw Joaquin Phoenix in a movie, but it was the first time that I was like, who is this? This guy can really act. This guy's good. And I felt the same way about Casey Affleck too. I was like, Casey, this guy's good. He's going to be a big star. And then like all of a sudden his brother becomes a big star instead. And I was like, oh, this is weird.
Yeah, that's true. There was a heavy presence in this movie. Joaquin for sure. I was like, wow, this guy's. I can't not do it. I'm telling you, I can't not do it.
At least you don't say
trying to do it.
Joaquin. I guess it could be Joaquin.
Hey, Joey Queen Phoenix. So the first time I saw this movie was actually over. I used to house sit for these people. They were friends of my mom and my stepdad at the time, DiBiase. Rest in power, DiBiase. and I went over there and watched it, and I was like, "Oh, this movie's great." And I gotta admit, too, I was barely 16, probably 15, and this movie is about a woman who seduces young men. So at the time, I was like, and Nicole Kidman was super hot, so I definitely was like probably liking this movie for the reasons that other people maybe didn't like it at the time. I just thought it was like a very sensual film. I mean, she's really like, her sensuality is just like oozing out throughout the entire movie. I admit that freely, and it's pretty hard to deny that. I'll talk more about how I see it now, but at the time, that's right. I remember watching it over and over again afterwards because I liked more of the characters and the story, though. But originally, I was drawn in by that. And I do recall that at Greg and Audrey's house over there in Brighton, 1996-ish. Good times. Noodle salad. What's the rating on the IMDb for To Die For?
I would guess pretty good. I would think it's probably pretty respected. I'm going to say 7.0.
Yeah, it does seem like a rock solid 7.0, but just for fun, I'll say 7.2.
For variety's sake.
6.8.
We were getting there. All right, 6.8.
Doesn't crack 7. Only 51,000 ratings, too. This is, again, it seems like this movie's, how did you watch this film?
It's streaming on,
Oh, it was?
I think it's actually on the Criterion channel as well, actually.
Oh, well, great. I'm happy for you then, because I had to rent it on Amazon. I did, because I didn't know where else to find it. I didn't have a lot of options at the moment. So.
That was why, because I did the trial for AI, and then this was the next movie. It's like, well, I guess I'll do the month.
Cool. Okay, well, I'm glad it worked out that way then. But it's just not a movie that I've seen around a lot.
Right. It hasn't been. Like if it had popped up on a streamer earlier, I probably would have revisited it by now, but I don't remember coming across it very often.
Exactly. Yeah, I would tend to agree. I don't know how it even popped in my mind to finally think of it. That something clicked, and I was like, oh, I finally remember this movie, and I don't even know what it was. But I'm glad that we're doing it now. On Rotten Tomatoes, 89% from the critics. That's very solid. And then 65 from the audience, just a little smaller than the IMDb review of 6.8. Critical response. As we always do here on the show, we'd like to give you guys the feedback of the people who know better than you do. And that's who these critics are. Well, good old Rob Gonsalves. We've done him once in a while.
Yeah.
To Die For has a crisp, professional snap. As if the producer had splashed cold water on Van Zant between takes.
Doesn't this feel different than a lot of Van Zant movies? Like he had a different editor or something. It feels a lot more, I don't know, like short attention spanny. You know what I mean? It's just a lot more like media savvy. I guess that's what he's going for, I guess. But it has a different feel than a lot of his stuff, I feel like.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about, like Last Days. It's supposed to be kind of about Kurt Cobain type guy. Yeah. I think you're definitely right. Now, I think it was chosen because of the glamorous nature of the trial being a popular trial, and that the news media I think he really wanted to crush that point home, and that was turned into the editing and the shot design.
Almost Oliver Stoney, because really I think of him more like when I think of like Go Bull Hunting or Elephant or something. It's all very static,
That's true.
But this, I'm sure you're right. He's trying to like overwhelm our senses.
Well, maybe it was also a product. I mean, Gus Van Zant's not immune. Product of the time, 1995. This is right after Natural Born Killers came out, too. So you never know if some of that, could have bled into that. I think it's interesting that both those movies came out around the same time period. They're about different things, but they're still kind of about similar glamorization of violence and media stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Good point.
That's a good call. David Anson of Newsweek said, "A smart and wicked delight, period." Thanks, David.
It's helpful.
Can we get someone a little bit more depth on this? These are all very short.
We got Peter Travers.
Yeah.
We got Ebbs. Where's Ebbs? He should ring in on this.
Here we go. Peter Travers, Rolling Stone, said, although Van Zant makes wicked sport of television, he doesn't underestimate its power to blind us to its faults and bring us to our knees.
All right. That's pretty good. And more than saying it's a movie. We got Desson?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
All right. Early Desson.
This is Desson. Early Desson. All right. Desson Thompson, the delicately featured Phoenix. Yes, Rivers' brother. Thanks, Desson. Has an extraordinary Chic oddball presence. Chic oddball presence. Huh.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, that seems to be what he singled out was Joaquin's performance.
It does fit. I see what he's saying. I just never would have thought of putting it that way. That's why we love Destin. He's the man.
Where's Kirk Honeycutt? Or is it Kurt Honeycutt?
Kurt Kent.
K Honeycutt.
K Honeycutt. Good old Eves. Nicole Kidman's work here is inspired. Her clothes, her makeup, her hair, her speech, her manner, even the way she carries herself as if aware of the eyes of millions are all brought to a perfect pitch.
It is a really good performance. Yeah, it's a really, really solid performance. I'm almost surprised she wasn't nominated for it, but it was probably a pretty strong year.
Yeah, she apparently, she wanted this part really, really bad, and she went to great lengths to try to make sure to secure it. And, this is, Nicole Kidman, 1995. We're not talking Eyes Wide Shut quite yet. This is still someone on the rise.
Yeah, this was after Robin, Batman and Robin, right? Was probably right around the same time.
Same year, yeah.
But between that and this, this was pretty much her first starring role, I feel like. Right?
She's in Far and Away. She in Malice. I don't know, some dumb courtroom drama. Yeah,
Far and Away was before. Far and Away was before this, right?
This is her. Even though there's a lot of characters in this film, this is her movie.
Yeah, and Far and Away, it was still partly this is Tom Cruise's wife or girlfriend, whatever she was at the time. You're right. This is still this is a huge cast, but she is clearly the main star of it.
Yep, and I never saw Far and Away, so I don't even know what's going on there.
It's not bad. It's about homesteaders.
Oh, people love
Tom Cruise is an Irish homesteader. You don't really get a lot of that these days.
Tom Cruise, an Irish homesteader. Oh boy.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, you're right. So everything Ebert said there, man, I agree with. Every detail is not left to chance with the clothing and the look and the constant awareness of this bottom line. But she's also a total fucking doofus, and I love that. She plays that really well in this film without making it overt to show it to you. You got to kind of pay attention a little bit that she's clueless.
Yeah. She thinks she's so ahead of the game because she can beguile fucking young boys. So she literally thinks that she's smart, but she's actually one of the clumsiest fucking criminals I've ever seen on film.
Yeah, it's great. You got Wayne Knight in this too, Newman, and he's hilarious in this film. Talking about how she shows up to try to get a job at the local cable station and the things she goes to and all those ideas that get denied. She's relentless. The only thing she has going for her is this relentlessness and her self-belief, but that's it.
Right.
And she's hot. She is
that kind of dogged, determined, I am meant to be famous, which is instead of going away and we've matured as a society, instead that's the most celebrated thing ever. Oh, your job is to influence, to peddle yourself and nothing else. You must be amazing. Oh, I know.
Man. This should be the influencer's anthem. This should be their right. You're right. You're so right about that. That's exactly where we are now.
It was their anthem that would take a level of self-awareness, and then they'd have to critique themselves and change their behavior. We say this as podcasters. We self-promote too, but not.
Yeah, but we're not influencers. We're not influencers. We're just people doing a show.
We just like to talk.
Yeah, we're not cool, and we're not special. We're just
God help me. I'm not cool or special. I know movies, that about myself.
We're old friends, and it's fun to talk about it. That's it. So.
All right, we've justified it. Let's continue.
Yes. Look, everything about what she does in the movie is outstanding, and the balance and the smoothness and the sleek ability she has to be sly enough. I mean, who's dumber, I guess? Her or Matt Dillon's character. I mean, they're both pretty clueless.
Man. He's also a bit of a dick because he starts the whole thing off being I'm going to support you in this dream of yours. And as soon as it doesn't just immediately come to fruition within less than a year, he's you should give it up and just have kids, which is a total dick move. I mean, he's an idiot. But
he's afraid of her, though. That's cool. I like that about this movie. He's afraid, and his sister's the one who really pushes him. By the way, I love Ileana Douglas in this role. I always remember her from when I originally watched this film. I was like, oh, I love this. I love her. I like to see her in more stuff,
Yeah, this was the same year she did Search and Destroy, which was one of my favorite cult movies, if you've ever seen it. John Turturro and Griffin Dunne and Christopher Walken. It's fucking great. And she's
I have
really
a copy.
great in
I
that,
haven't
too.
actually watched it. I've never pressed play on it.
Dude, I love that movie. You know what? Let's do it next week. Hang on. Let's come back to that. We'll see if it's streaming anywhere.
Okay. All right.
Keep talking.
But yeah. So Matt Dillon's character is a doofus. He plays in a band. His family. So there's this connection here that they're an Italian family. They might know some mobsters, but they're not in the mob. Dan Hedaya is like, and the wife. I don't know the wife's character's name or actress's name because I don't recognize her. I apologize to
that is a Tucci. I know her last name is Tucci. So I don't know if there's any
Tucci.
relation to Stanley, but
cool.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I wanted to mention this too. The screenplay is written by Buck Henry, the legendary Buck Henry.
And he shows up in it to smack Casey Affleck around.
This teacher, he beats a child like
out of his chair. Beats him literally to the ground.
Little old Buck Henry, who could never scare anyone, he actually pulls it off in this movie. I couldn't believe it. He did it. He really did it. And the fact that he could beat the kid and get away with it. I mean, I actually feel bad for Casey Affleck's character. His dad hates him. His teacher's hating him. There's awful home life. I mean, it's so sad in a way, too. This movie has so much going on in it.
It's true. There's a lot happening, and most of it's really sad, but this is as hardcore as a satire as you can get. It's all really tongue-in-cheek. So it's all just a little bit funny, even when it's sad.
It's advertised as a black comedy, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah. Did you? Actually, Leanne had never heard of the movie, so she watched the trailer for it.
Okay.
Man, trailers have changed. It's so funny to see where we've gone with that. I don't want, we try to avoid trailers,
I hate 'em.
obviously. Yeah, I hate them too. But to see an old school trailer is entertaining because you see that there's like a general groupthink that becomes like standard trailer of the time. And
she was a woman who had a dream. No one would stand in her way.
They had the lighter-hearted announcer.
Oh, okay.
Suzanne Stone just can't get enough. It's presented as a comedy. Exactly. That's pretty much what it was. And did you laugh a lot with this film?
No. Did you?
I don't. No, I don't. There was only Wayne Knight made me chuckle a few times with his commentary, but that was pretty much it, I think.
I mean, I was like amused by George Segal, for instance. There's certainly a lot to be amused by, but I didn't laugh at it. Well, I tell you what, there's one moment I loved and laughed and clapped my hands because it's been a long time since I've seen it, and to skip ahead to the end, I was convinced that David Cronenberg, who shows up as the hitman to kill her, which is awesome. I was convinced that Walter was fucked, and I'm like, oh no, this hitman's not going to save Walter. Then it cuts to him like calling Dan Hedaya and telling him that he's dead, and you see that the hitman kept the dog and kept him alive. I laughed pretty hard at that and was I thought that was a great touch. Hitman with a heart.
Yeah, I knew you'd appreciate that. That's wonderful. But I guess in the early, so they get away from this too. This movie's strange in a way where they set it up with this talk show that the families are on in video form, by the way. So you're going from video to film. You can see the difference. And the way they're talking about their kids and who Suzanne was and who Larry was, and Kurtwood Smith's he was totally befuddled. They were trying to explain that she was wild, and her sister was there to say she was wild. And he's like, well, yeah, I guess she was wild. I did laugh at that. That made me laugh. I love Kurtwood Smith.
You love Kurtwood.
I was hoping to see more Kurtwood Smith in this movie, but he's pretty minimal in this film.
Yeah, and same is true of Dan Hedaya. I would have liked a little bit more of him as well. I mean, he just kind of beats the shit out of a TV with a bat and says he glowers some and kind of like looks disapproving in a couple scenes, but he doesn't really have a ton of lines.
Yeah, they never bring sentimentality into this though. They really don't, because when they go on that trip, Dan Hedaya and Larry, they go up on the car trip to the convention, and he says something like, I can't remember what he says, like, I think I'm gonna buy something for the restaurant. And Larry's like, that's a good idea. And that's it. Like, there's not much going on there. There's just not. But I did remember it as a younger man thinking like Dan Hedaya was more involved and had more to say in the film. But really, it just comes down to his bitterness and the fact that they execute and carry out. I got to say, I was really satisfied by the the execution of Suzanne Stone by the hitman. I was pretty happy with that. I was.
Pamela Smart, alive and well, still in prison.
Yeah, still in prison.
Life sentence, but I guess that this was the fantasy of what they hoped had happened to her. It sounds like.
That's where Tarantino took all of his inspiration for his current historical retellings. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I can't.
Because other than that, there's a lot of, I mean, it's pretty close. I mean, obviously no one knows the dialogue and that kind of stuff, but as far as I understand, it's pretty close, other than some name changes and that stuff.
Oh, it is. Yeah. I mean, the woman, I think Joyce Maynard, wrote the book about it, and then Buck Henry did a screenplay to tidy it all up to bring it together in the Buck Henry way that he did. What are some other things? Anything else that you wrote down?
Yeah, we already talked about it being like a major. Oh, here I got one. 91 degrees, a record-breaking temperature in New Hampshire in 1995. I bet it's gone up since then. Hut.
Hut, sir.
Yeah, no, I mean, I thought the name of the city, of the town, Little Hope, that had slipped by me as a kid. Now I'm like, that's one of those Buck Henry-isms. That's funny. So that's the kind of funny that it is. It's not like ha 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 funny. It's like, huh.
Yeah, it is. Like, yeah.
I will say, I think the highlight of the movie for me is a moment of acting from Nicole Kidman, and it's the scene where everything's telescoping in as no, it's actually not that. It's after that. After he asks her to like give up her dream and have a kid, right? And then a little bit later, they're talking again. They're by the stairs. And she's talking to him. She's all like in Barbie mode and like smiling, like, I love you, blah, blah, blah. Like, and then he talks to her again about it like one last time. And you kind of see like this expression just dawn on her face as she's like, and you can tell this is the moment she's like, he must be removed. He is an obstacle to my dream. He must go. And it's so cold. And it's like you said, like there's a lot of moments like that with her where there's a lot being told with her expressions, and it's subtle, and it's really, really brilliant work from a super talented actor.
And I want to bring up all the kids that are involved here, these teenagers, and they're all coming from fucked up places.
Right.
The three of them. I don't know if they were a group of people that hung out together or not, or if Suzanne's documentary.
They were, because it starts off, and then we get that death metal song, and they're all sitting together on the outside the school watching her walk by together. So like the odds of them.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Right. They all happen to sign up, but like, which I thought was kind of conflicting because you got to get two messages with that. But
yeah, well, Buck Henry, basically forced to. You're gonna sign up or you're fucked. So,
yeah.
And the only reason that Joaquin signed up is because he wanted to beat off. So you get a real nice weather report beat off scene. In this movie, so.
Yeah, him talking about every time the weather changes, he has to masturbate. I thought that was pretty funny.
He's so gross. I mean, it's a great job of acting, but he's so awful.
He's greasy and like, he's like, you're right. He's gross.
It's unsettling. It does leave an imprint on you from his entire performance, though it's pretty simple-minded. Like he's a fucking 15-year-old with a boner. That's all it is.
And Casey Affleck, like snorting and banging on the hood of that car with that baseball bat, and like he's just like so punk rock. It was amazing to me to like as he got older and be like, oh, that was a character. That's not what he's like.
Yeah, well said. That's a good call.
Acting.
Do you know where Edward R. Murrow started? No. Well, I don't know, but I'm sure it was somewhere. Yeah, that was funny. This is a Danny Elfman score, by the way.
Yeah, it's a really good Danny Elfman score. It also sounds like every Danny Elfman score.
I thought it sounded a little different. I actually did. It's still really? Danny Elfman. It's totally Elfman, but it's just a little different. I actually did.
Not Dead President's different.
No.
I mean, you really want. Right. He can be much more different when he wants to. This is still like, I got some Beetlejuice in me. Always with the Beetlejuice in me.
Oh, and, speaking of your recent Sopranos watch, you got Jackie is one of the detectives. So it's Jackie Senior. So
Jackie. Oh yeah. Michael Rispoli shows up as the yep, definitely. Yep. And that would have been just a couple years before he played Jackie Aprile.
That's right. That's true. I wrote this down, but I don't remember it. Somebody said "fucking gangbusters," and I just thought it was. I'm like,
that was Wayne Knight's nickname for her.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I had not heard gangbusters in a while, so I just wrote it down.
I thought gangbusters were like, the prohibition untouchable dudes. Like I thought that isn't that what a gangbuster is? People that break up gangs.
You're probably right. I would disagree with that sentiment or that actual fact.
But if something is like that's fucking gangbusters, I guess it just means like that's awesome. I don't know what that means. I guess I could Google it.
Coming in, I think it's coming in hot, like coming in real strong. Like they just bust in. They don't even use a warrant. They're just busting shit up.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm
makes
gonna roll
sense for
with
her
that.
character. It does. Yeah, you're right. If you hadn't said that part, I would have thought about it. Also, I think Buck Henry says this. Nutless wonders. That's a funny line.
Yes. Yeah. And he tells him to look up what a eunuch is. It's pretty funny.
And when the cops arrest Casey Affleck's character, I wouldn't just blindly walk through the water in my suit and trench coat. I mean, they go like almost up to their dicks.
Where is he gonna go? Just stand on the shore. Like, where is he gonna go? You got to ruin. As I'm watching this, I'm like, these fucking dildos are gonna walk back to their car and sit in their car just drenched from the waist down.
It
doesn't
looks
make
cool
any
out, too.
Doesn't make any sense. Just gonna stroll into the ocean real quick to arrest this guy because he's never gonna come out here. Just sit in the car. Just sit in the car so he doesn't see you. Just watch him and wait.
I guess. Are they trying to show that, like, because you see a scene of them at the restaurant of the family, like they're connected in a way. I don't know. There's a lot of hints here. I got to give the movie credit because I love when they do this stuff. They don't shove a lot of stuff down your throat. They leave it all kind of out there for you to try to put it together. And I want to give the movie credit for that.
Yeah, they do. They show up in the scene when she first is on the Weather Channel, and like he quiets everyone down, like listen, and everyone claps when it's over. And you can just imagine all the patrons being like, "Why are we clapping for the weather lady?"
I know, but they're such likable family. They're just like, okay, yeah, well, we like your food, we like your restaurant. Thank
You're
you.
excited, we're excited. That's fine. Bring me some more rolls.
Yeah, and there's also breadcrumbs given. Suzanne is so obsessed with celebrity culture and like being on TV and being a personality that is constantly fawned over with like the fake dinner she puts on where she got the recipe about Johnny Carson's chef made it, but it was made by those other people. They don't force it down. They show it to you briefly, but it's up to you to kind of put it all together to be like, this woman is just a total fucking fraud.
Total phony. So you were saying earlier that you had thoughts about her presentation of sexuality, because watching it this time, I do not see like a woman acting sexy. I see a woman just naked ambition, clearly transparent manipulation, abuse. It's just like, it's not like none of it's sexy at all to me now. Is that how you feel?
I'm glad you brought this up and brought it back because it would have bummed me out if we didn't cover it. It's totally different now. Like this movie is not very sexy or like a sexual movie to me at all. I totally agree. I wasn't like, oh, that's kind of a hot scene or like anything like that at all. It really wasn't. I just saw a woman who's like just on to the next move, whatever it was, and you don't get like a lot of. There's that scene where they're dancing, and it's like it's kind of cumbersome and goofy and weird. And then when she's dancing out in front of the car to Sweet Home Alabama,
with the door closed in the rain, how can she hear it?
That's a great point. Yeah. I mean, those are thick ass cars too. It's going to be hard for that sound to get out of those old bastards. Yeah, that's a good point. But she doesn't, she's not really doing anything that's that sexy in a way where I'm like, wow, this is a sensual film. I think I agree with exactly what you're saying. Like this woman is I'm older now too, so yeah, this woman is exploiting young youths who are coming from broken homes. It's a clear, classic tale of what exploitation commonly is in this country, even if it's the military or whatever it is, or it's just one person taking advantage of opportunities for people who are desperate to be noticed by someone who, as Joaquin's character says in this film. I can't not do it. It's just a natural thing for me. She is
like Scarlett Johansson.
Scarlett Johansson farts. It's true. She does. She's very clean. He says that in the movie. She's very clean. And that made a lot of sense to me, even though it's a very simple explanation of what it is that he likes about Suzanne Stone. She's pristine, totally kept and organized from head to toe. And she's not sexy. She's just a clean woman who basically shows interest in him. And it could have been a lot of different people that showed interest in him, and he would have been on board, I think. Yeah,
he probably comes from like this filthy hell, neglected,
Yeah, and we don't get much from his background, right? I don't think.
No.
Yeah.
We only get a little bit of the girl whose name escapes me. Although I thought the actor there did well. I would have liked to have seen more from her. I thought she did pretty well in the role. but we see a little bit of her. Yeah, we see a little bit of her home, and it's like you say,
Lydia.
It's all
Lydia was a character played by Allison Folland.
She did good.
She did fine. I want to give Allison Folland credit as she was raped by a stepdad. It's very, they don't say it specifically, but they
imply it.
Yeah, that she was abused and exploited, and then it's clearly just the natural step when Suzanne takes an interest in her so she can get this documentary done, and then tells her that, hey, Lydia, you're going to be my assistant in Hollywood, or all this shit that it sounds preposterous to most adults who are going to sit here and watch this movie, but you really got to put yourself in the shoes of somebody who's an innocent, has already been exploited, and has learned things that are wrong. It's not their fault, but it's just something that they don't know any better yet because, unfortunately, they've been raised by shit-ass scumbags.
And she builds their trust in her so that she can use it against them. And she's a complete predator.
Yeah. And the only thing about Suzanne's character, I'll say, we talked about how dumb she is, but then they try to make her look a little bit smarter when they try to entrap her with the recordings and stuff later in the movie, and they can't do it. And then she gets off, and they kind of imply that there was this court proceeding where all the tapes were thrown out and there's evidence that couldn't be used. And that was the only thing, I guess, she's not. Let's not start to make her smarter now because she's not.
Yeah, she got lucky, I guess. I did like when she's at the murder scene and she realizes that all the lights are outside the window and she's drawn to them like a moth. It's my big moment. It's my big scene. I've been waiting for this. And the cops are like, you don't have to talk to them. And she's like, this is what I've been waiting for.
Yeah, you're an idiot. Come on.
Yeah.
Well,
I think that's about it. You want to kick off your thoughts since you chose the movie?
Kick out the jams on To Die For.
Motherfucker.
Sure, I can do that. Yeah. To Die For, a film starring Nicole Kidman. If you didn't know that by now in this part of the podcast, that would be surprising. I'm glad I chose this movie. It's not quite how I remembered it. In fact, there was a ton of scenes that I didn't remember at all. There's a lot of storylines that I just forgot. I really just kind of remembered Nicole Kidman was kind of sexy. She murdered her husband. Dan Hedaya is a father. They're really pissed, and they're going to put a hit and get revenge on her. Those are the parts I remembered. But there's a lot of other stuff in here, and maybe we'd even talk enough about it. But there's so much to talk about this film. There really is, about the nature of celebrity and the desperation that comes with trying to be there in front of it all and get yourself noticed above all else. All humanity, every living being is secondary to your desire, right? And that's why it's a great title. It's a different Gus Van Sant film, as Travis mentioned earlier, in the way it's shot, that it's really focusing on media aspects and using video and film and television talk show in segments, and then it's a documentary. We didn't actually talk about it. It's a documentary form in a way, because a lot of these characters, like Ileana Douglas, most of her scenes are her talking to the camera as if it's a after the fact documentary. And I think that was I think that got really played out in film, maybe as we've gone on from this point in time. But in '95, I think it was pretty fresh, a little more fresh at least. And it's an entertaining movie. It is. It's fucked up and it's sad, disappointing. It's supposed to be a black comedy, but as it gets older for me, I could see why they want to label it that way. But it's also a product of the '90s, where the black comedies didn't maybe necessarily hold up 25 years later. But it's a well done movie. It's well acted. It's got a lot of great actors that I like it as someone who enjoys film. So I'm gonna say it holds up.
All right. I think that you hit on a major point for me there, where you talked about how that mockumentary style, which I'm glad you brought that up, how it kind of has gotten tried, a little too tried and true over the years. I feel the same way about the satire itself, the subject matter itself. I feel like this is a pretty well beaten horse, but it's done really well. I mean, it's done exceptionally well. Yep. And so in some ways I'm surprised it's not more, I'm surprised it's not better remembered, more highly regarded, and brought up more often in conversations. But also I could also imagine it just kind of, disappearing in our memories the way it kind of did, because similar movies have come along since. So I do think that it holds up. It's not a super enthusiastic holds up. I wasn't like, this is a overlooked classic that everyone should return to. That's not how I feel. But as you say, there's some really strong performances in here. It's Gus Van Zant, who is a fucking great director. And so it's well worth your time. So it's worth revisiting. But it's not like if I was making a list of the top 50 movies of the 1990s, this wouldn't be on it.
Oh, okay. Well, I think you made it very clear. And I'm glad that we did this movie together. To Die For. You check it out. Let us know what you think. If you want to drop your thoughts about this film, something we didn't cover, cinema9pod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts. We always love to get emails, even though we don't check the emails. But if we get them, we'll read them. We will. We just did today. It happened. So, God, we're going back to you now?
Yep, my choice next. And I had a movie all picked out. I was all ready to go. I've had it in my head forever, but fuck it. Yeah, let's do Search and Destroy. You've never seen it. Maybe Eric's never seen it, but I grew up loving this weird fucking movie. It'd be fun to revisit and talk about it with you guys.
Well, this is unusual. How about that? This has got to be a first. Movie brought up during the show, and then the person decides to do it. I don't know if that's ever happened. That's
I don't think it has, but why not?
I commend you.
You said you have a copy of it. It's also currently on. You can rent it on Amazon for $2.99. So that's what I'm going to do.
All right, great, cool. Next week we're staying in 1995. Search and Destroy.
Search and Destroy, starring Griffin Dunn.
Starring Griffin Dunn. Okay. All right, well, that was fun. Me and Travis, we thank you. Travis Roy, Michael Govia, Eric Brasham. Be well, my friend. We missed you. Hopefully we'll see you here next week. That'll do it here. Cinema 9 Podcast. We thank you guys for watching and listening, and we'll catch you later.